Well, Chief, hope you weren't in a big hurry.
No.
Why don't we, I think we can go ahead and get started while he's waiting. I just wanted to make sure that let's see here. Hang on, he's coming in. Just give it a few seconds here.
You there, Adam?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Can you hear us?
I got somebody there, yeah.
All right.
Yay.
All right.
Sounds good. Chief, go ahead.
So as I was saying, we wanted to do two things tonight. It's kind of, or give you an update where we're at today from 2019 when we first formed, and then present some future needs that we just want to put on everybody's radar for future discussion. So as you remember, Vernon Township Fire Department was actually formed in 2019, and we started hiring part-time personnel to make sure we had coverage around the clock. And then we opened the new Fortville Fire Station. 2020, we created our own EMS division. We started billing for our EMS and getting Medicaid reimbursement, which has been very successful. And the territory was then formed. In 2021, we purchased an ambulance to replace the one we were using, which we still have as a backup. And we began hiring career firefighter medics. And I'm happy to say that probably by the end of next year or beginning of next year, we'll be fully staffed with career personnel, at least 8 people on duty per day, both in Fortville and McCordsville. We've got 2 new engines that we replaced, literally 20 and 30-year-old fire engines that were protecting the community. And we surplused extra apparatus that wasn't needed anymore to right size our apparatus fleet. So we weren't spending extra money on maintenance and fuel and insurance. We broke ground on Station 432 in 2022 and are happy to say that this is not an official date. By August or September of this year, we will be occupying that building, which is designed for continuous or living in quarters instead of the McCordsville station we're operating out of right now, where we have a modular home sitting next to it for the personnel to sleep in at night or stay in at night. Our response times have continued to improve, especially when we brought technology on board this year with the mobile data tablets. Our turnout and response times are 5 to 6 minutes from time of dispatch to arriving on scene. And other things, we've established a functional tax rate for the fire territory. We've appealed for our growth and we've received 2 growth appeals. We've presented balanced budgets 2 years now and will be in the near future a 3rd year in a row. And we have applied for grants and received it for turnout gear and EMS equipment. Kind of leads me up to where we're at today. The one thing that, phase 1 is kind of there. We've completed that with the updates. Phase 2 is now trying to bring it up to where we need to be. And that includes the purchase of a ladder truck. And this isn't just some kind of, we're throwing the dart at the dartboard and that's the next thing we want. If you're familiar with ISO, which I know you are, it's the Insurance Service Office. They come up with a criteria for communities grading schedules on how well the fire protection is. And one of the criteria they have for a community when a ladder truck is required, and that's what I'm here to talk about tonight, is the purchase of a ladder truck, is that when you have 5 or more buildings that are 32 feet in height or 3 stories in height or more, or you have a building that is so large that it would take 3,500 gallons per minute. I want to make sure I was right, because of the size of the fire to put it out, then you should have a ladder truck. In 2021, when we received our first evaluation from ISO as Vernon Township Fire Department, they identified 17 buildings in Vernon Township. So that tells me that we've needed a ladder truck for a long time, probably more in Fortville than in McCordsville up until now. McCordsville is bringing buildings on that meet that criteria. But if you look at Main Street, you look at the school buildings, if you look at the industrial park, those buildings are probably the ones that are meeting this criteria. We know that the previous volunteers, they didn't have the building to store a ladder truck in, so I'm sure that's why it was never a topic that was brought up. So again, we have 17 buildings currently that they've identified. Now, what you're gonna ask, what does a ladder truck do for us that we can't do right now? The ladders that we carry on our engines, if you get to that third and fourth story of an apartment building or a commercial building, we can't reach it with our ladders. So if somebody is trapped, until we can figure out a way to get the fire out completely, they're not gonna be able to get to them. It's just, in the matter of timing, it's important that, you know, the buildings that are being built today are structurally sound. And I don't want to make it sound like that they're not, until they get attacked by fire. And then they burn quickly because it's the lightweight construction. Again, it's very safe when it's not under attack, but as soon as it does, it doesn't take long. And you can see it in the, you know, anytime on the news, when one of these larger buildings goes, it goes pretty quickly. So timing of getting people rescued is imperative, and timing of getting large water on these buildings is imperative. To show you the comparison, the hose that we pull off our engines, they will flow about 175 gallons per minute. The water flow from the top of the ladder truck and the piping in it flows over 800 gallons a minute. So there's a huge difference, a lot more water, able to extinguish a lot bigger fires a lot quicker. And also, when these buildings fill up with smoke, we have to cut a hole in the roof because the smoke rises. You can't open the lower windows. It's not going to come out. We have to open that roof. We can't get to the roof with our ground ladders. We need the larger ladders. Just here in the last 12 months in Fortville, or 18 months in Fortville, we've had 2 fires on Main Street. We've had a third fire just behind Main Street that, you know, that building probably wouldn't have needed the ladder, but the fire on Main Street, fortunately, we got there quickly. It was New Year's Eve. People that were on Main Street noticed smoke. We got there and it was able to get that fire out quick. Had it been much more of a delay, it would have been a much different story. So here's the big issue, though, is that a new ladder truck will cost $1.8 million just for the truck, and another $160,000 for the equipment that goes on the truck. That's as of today's prices. And the longer we wait, it will go up, according to our some of our vendors, of about 8%, 8 to 10% per year for every year we don't order it. We've done a really good job at the township or the territory of paying for the engines, paying for new air packs that were 20 years old. But believe it or not, everything that we bought is the 2 new engines, the 2 new medics. Because I did fail, we did order a second medic. Is about equal in cost to what this one truck costs, just because of the size of the truck and the materials that go into building it. The other problem is we're bringing this to you now is because a part of our strategic plan, we identified we wanted to put a ladder truck in service in 2027. And you're thinking, wow, that's a long way away. It's a 2.5-year build time. From the time we sign the paperwork, it's 2.5 years before we take delivery. And then it's going to be an additional amount of time after that to train our personnel. So it's a discussion we need to be having now if we want to continue moving forward with this. What we're asking for is just to put this on your radar as new projects come in. If they're able, if they're able to contribute somehow to a ladder truck, it doesn't bother me. I'll put a logo on somebody. I told the township board last night, if Domino's Pizza builds their world headquarters here, I'll put a Domino's logo on the truck if they want to buy it for us or contribute a significant amount of money. And that's becoming a more common practice, believe it or not. But if there's also funding available through the RDCs, we would also like for your consideration in that as well. It's not to pay for the whole truck, obviously, but to help contribute a portion of it so that we can move forward with this badly needed piece of equipment. I guess at this point in time, if we don't move forward with the ladder truck, one of the things that getting a ladder truck, it will help improve our ISO rating. We received a 5 for the first time as Vernon Township Fire Department. We have made significant improvements based on the report they gave us. I'm assuming we are going to get reevaluated this year. In fact, my staff and I are taking a class tomorrow in Greenfield that's being put on by ISO to make sure we're doing everything we can within our means. But a ladder truck would be a help to getting a better rating, which helps. And I can't tell you, if you're going to ask me what kind of cost savings we are, I don't know what they are. I've researched it. I've seen it's anywhere from $100 per year to $400 or $500 per year on a premium. So, so I would ask, are there any questions from you to me that I can?
Yes, what is your response time on mutual aid for ladder truck if needed?
If needed, our closest ladder trucks are the city of Fishers, which is from 116th and Brook School Road. So depending on where we're at, it's probably the time the call comes in, Hancock County Dispatch calls Hamilton County Dispatch, we're probably talking 10 to 15 minutes, depending on where we're at in the township. The Buck Creek Township has a ladder, but it's 22 years old. And I just met with their chief last week and it's having maintenance issues. The next closest would be the city of Lawrence or the city of IFD. And everybody's getting busier. And I can't tell you that any of those ladder trucks won't be available, but I can't tell you they will be either. But what I can tell you is that any big commercial fire we have, it's going to take a minimum of 3 ladder trucks. I know that Fishers is getting busier. I've sent our medic truck there twice in the last 3 weeks because of their run loads increasing. So the thing of it is mutual aid is just that. It's mutual if they're available, and it can't be the primary responsibility to rely on.
They don't have a ladder truck on 104th, the new fire station there? Oh, I thought they did.
No, they have an engine and a tanker.
Oh, okay.
And in fact, that's a good question about mutual aid. Last year, we had a fire in McCordsville. It was a reported fire on July the 4th, where their tanker was part of the dispatch and they were out on other calls and it was not able to respond. Fortunately, that incident was not where it was needed, but had it been, it's just the example of mutual aid isn't always available.
Does Belton have one?
They do not.
So in the process of ordering a truck, when does it have to be paid for?
So there is a down payment required. And I don't know what the percentage is, but then full payment would be when we take delivery.
So you have time to create these funds and develop them.
Yeah.
Do you now or in the future have a station that will house it?
Yes, actually, both stations that we have now currently, well, the one under construction housed it and the station in Fortville. And I'm not saying this just because I'm in Fortville. As long as I'm the fire chief, if we get a ladder truck, it will probably be stationed at the Fortville station, only because if you look at the railroad tracks, our biggest commercial buildings, with the exception of Main Street, is kind of 50-50. But if you look at the biggest area, it's south of the railroad tracks. And we know from time to time, the train does stop on those tracks. So I would rather have my ladder truck on the south end and our station in McCordsville is going to be on the north end. So that's as long as I'm the fire chief. I can't promise future fire chiefs will feel the same way. And I'm not saying that because I'm here in Fortville. I will tell McCordsville the same thing.
Maybe we should make that a interview question.
Okay.
If the time comes you want to leave, which
Let's say a big industrial complex comes to this area
Mhm.
and does their proposal. Do you get involved with maybe funds coming from this business in order to help support it?
No, that's, I think, where you guys come in play, or the town comes into play. We will all, well, let me make it clear, I will take funds from them.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's where I go back to I'll put a logo on it as long as it's not offensive. It's about service to the community. And, you know, my biggest fear is rescuing people, whether it's civilians that get stuck or before we get there, or my firefighters. If something bad goes, you know, during the suppression of the fire, I need to be able to get them out too. That's my concern.
Any other questions for the chief?
Are you asking for a specific amount right now
I am
or?
not.
Oh, okay.
We wanted to come before you just to make you aware of the need and possibly coming back in the future with, you know, or have further conversations of how you can contribute.
Yeah, something.
I don't have a lot of questions right now, but if I could give you a couple thoughts that I have of when you come back with the ask of what I'd be interested in seeing. First one would be, excuse me, if there's a mutual aid cost currently with Fishers, or what that reciprocity looks like, and what it would continue to look like. So if we did have continued use of the ladder truck, should we not purchase our own, would they start putting a tax on the use of that or not? I'd be interested in seeing what McCordsville, their RDC is willing to contribute to this. Especially if they're going to be, you know, obviously, and I know it's the fire territory in the township, right? But I'd want to see some mutual aid from them, especially as they build town center and that. I would be interested in seeing the leasing breakdown, what that performance looks like. With prime where it's at, right? I see interest in here. So is this interest only payment on this amortization schedule? Is that based on, if I'm understanding it correctly, at 2.3 years of production time, are we paying interest only while it's in production?
Yes.
Okay. So if that's the case, and I guess if we were, with the amount of funds we have, if we were able to work out something with McCordsville and I guess I don't know why we'd pay interest, especially when prime rate is what it is right now, because that's another thing to consider is what prime is at that time. And then I'd also be, the last big thing here is, you know, in the interest of developments, right? As we continue to build larger buildings, right? We just had the Ridgeview Apartments extension. You know, that would have been a great first conversation to have with them about additional developer funds. So I'd be interested in seeing any case studies from other RDCs in the area, Carmel, Fishers, those guys, and how they're getting funds from developers in addition to TIF.
Yep.
So if there's any case studies or examples of how they've used funding to do that, I'd like to see those.
Okay. The first question I can answer for you, there is no mutual aid cost as of this time. It's just their availability. Now, I retired from the city of Fishers, and I can tell you at one point in time, another department was using the city of Fishers a lot. And they finally said no more unless it's a actual working declared structure fire. So, and that slows things down.
That's what Buck Creek's experiencing too, over there on the west side. Yeah.
Yep.
So the purchase schedule, are you done?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. The purchase schedule you listed here shows a date of 7/24.
Right.
With an amount of $80,000. What is that based on?
That is the interest of the total amount, the 2.3 or the 1.9 or $2 million. Again, we've not moved forward with this. This is just an example that if we did this in July of 2024, you would sign the lease, and then the interest only payments are due up until you start receiving the vehicle. And if you look, the 4 years or the 2.5 years there is when we would take delivery of the vehicle, and that's when the full amount of the lease payment would kick in. And that's through Greenfield Banking, correct? Or no, I'm sorry. This.
So keep in mind, I'm not real smart. So if we can order a truck with, let's say, 10% down, $150,000, why would we lease it and spend $230 in interest only payments and spend that time creating the money or finding the money? And that puts us $100,000 ahead.
And that's another option. And that's why we're bringing this to everybody, is to get options for doing this.
Okay. So I'm not thinking incorrectly. I'm just, oh, okay.
So this is a purchase schedule though, right? Not a lease?
It's the lease for the purchase of it over the 10 or 6-year time period, if we did it in July of 2024.
So you're.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're paying for money you're not even using yet.
Yeah. So all these other, so the departments around here, are they bonding this? Or they?
I have no idea how they're, different departments do it different ways, and I would be giving you really wild guesses if I told you how each one was doing it. I know Fisher's did a lot of leases to the lease to purchase.
So would Brian Lott be a good resource for options to do this?
Not right now.
Having with his,
Not right now.
no?
He's got, there's some things going on with Brian.
Oh, okay. I haven't talked to him in a couple of years. So, well, I just think some other resources and options that help us be creative.
Yeah, I can reach out to the new chief at Greenfield and see how they just purchased a ladder, but I do believe it was a lease as well. But I can reach out to the different departments and see how they've done it.
Yeah, just come up with some creative ideas. And I am with Hart on that I'm, from my perspective, I'm going to want to know what everybody else is doing along with us in the partnership to create it.
Absolutely.
Is there such a thing as getting a bond to pay for it and then paying the bond payments?
I think that would come down to what the state was able to get with prime rate, right?
Well, and it's also a. Because, yeah. We do have. And we.
You as in Vernon Township, are we, I don't think we're limited, are we? What we can bond?
No, I don't think we could bond it for them.
It's capital.
We'd have to check. But anyway, looking for
Yeah.
creative ideas
Yeah, absolutely.
down the
That's why
road.
we came before everybody to get more ideas on how to do this, because we need it.
Yeah, if it comes down to it, Ed can just write a check.
Yeah.
We'll put his picture on the front.
I will. I can do that.
That'd scare a fire off any building.
Put it on Benny Tyrone.
Yeah. Anything else for the chief?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief, thank you very much. We'll look forward to hearing from you in the future. Moving on to review of financials. Any discussion there or looking for a motion? Thank you.
I'll make a motion to accept the financials as written.
I'll second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Approval of invoices.
The display flags that we was initially presented with, we authorized a total of 17,549. We paid on 4/12 8639. And if you add all these bills up, it comes to 24,841, which is 72 or 7,292 over what we requested. And I want to know why.
You know that?
Unfortunately, I don't know the answer. It was spearheaded by Joe. And unfortunately, he's not here tonight, so.
So I'm looking for a motion to table the invoices.
I'll make a motion, we table these invoices until next month.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Public comment. Public? Okay. Remember the song and dance requirement.
So singing?
Feel fortunate, I'm walking up here. Tanya Davis, Town Council.
Your Excellency.
This is in regards to the ladder truck and everything. I think that we should entertain, and I'll say this to you, I guess, mostly. The new commercial businesses that are coming, if we do have come bigger buildings and that sort of thing. We need to put something in there for fire. It needs to be an additional, and even, you do this, we'll do that kind of thing too. But I think there should be we should make a certain fee or some kind of something in the plan when we do this that they have to pay for to help cover this kind of stuff. We don't do that right now, so I think that's something we need to look at doing. If we do, I'm not aware of it.
I think since Alex is on the line, some states do have fire impact fees. I know, for example, when I was in Arizona, they had one, but I feel like that's prohibited in to do a formal impact fee like we do with water and sewer here right now. Alex, do you know offhand, are fire impact fees prohibited under Indiana law?
I don't know if they're prohibited, but I'll track that down and, listening to the fire chiefs, talk and understanding. I mean, this is going to be necessary and important to the town and the larger community. I will look at that and see if there's a public safety impact fee option and maybe some other ways that the town could contribute.
I think that's weird, though. If you can charge fees for sewer and water, why couldn't you have a public safety?
Yeah, it's, I do know that generally speaking, the town's ability, any city's ability to charge impact fees in Indiana is governed by the enabling legislation at the state level. And so every state has a bunch of different columns that that local municipalities can charge for or not charge for. In Indiana, I remember looking into this once a few years ago. The legislature doesn't seem to give us a whole lot of wiggle room in terms of what we could charge on a townwide basis. Now, to your point, as part of a new larger project that comes in, whether it's a planned unit development, if they're looking for tax abatement, anything's all part of the negotiation
Right.
in my view, and that's all legal. So, but it would be interesting to know just for future discussions if municipalities have the ability to do that here, because then obviously McCordsville could consider doing that. And there's pros and cons like anything, but the one pro would be that it could be evenly applied to every new project in a way, if you went that route.
Well, it would be a benefit, especially in commercial insurance, which is part of what I do. The ISO rating, 5 is acceptable, 4 is a little bit better, and 3 is even better when it comes to insurance premiums. So that would be a benefit to the commercial people coming in, especially if we did something off the top of my head, like maybe a South Madison TIF district or something. If we ever decided to do something like that, it'd be an opportunity to create revenue in that particular instance with the fire impact.
And not
fee.
to get into the weeds too much, I'm sure we could, if it's allowed and council wanted to adopt it, I'm sure the monies could be shifted, but there's one more complexity, of course, that they're a separate government, that unlike, again, the example from another state, the fire department was part of the city. So, you basically be collecting money on a different municipality's behalf, but I'm sure those are things that could all get worked out.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if we could do, even just a road impact fee.
Right.
Mhm. So that's something we need to,
Well, we can definitely do road. We can definitely do road.
Yeah, and
impact
that's
fees,
what
but
I'm saying.
Fire,
You can
for
do-
say equipment is different story.
go ahead, Alex.
I was gonna say, 100%, like Adam said, 100%, you can do road impact fees. There's also park and recreational infrastructure. I'm just not sure that public safety or fire is included in what we're allowed to do, as Adam was saying. But we'll run it to ground. We'll double check, see if there's a way to get at it and bring it to you.
Yeah, a dollar's a dollar, right? If we have a road impact fee that's on the developers. My question, Alex, would be who's the tax authority for a road impact fee? Would that be issued by the RDC for the council to approve, or?
That's a council issue.
So,
Okay.
Madam Counselor?
There you go.
Uno reverse, right there.
Thank you, public, for your comments.
Map up here, by the way, too.
You just
Yes.
ask yourself some.
To ask a question. to
Tanya? Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind.
Alex, what is the rules and regulations on using TIF money for public safety?
Well, Ed, it depends on what the public safety project is. I don't know if Scott shared with you some of the kind of summary info and the statutory provisions about what you can use TIF dollars for. And in general, it's capital projects, infrastructure related projects that benefit, directly benefit the TIF district. That's not to say they have to be inside the TIF district. There has to be a direct benefit to them. So if there was, we're talking about building a fire station, and part of the fire station, they needed to upgrade their water mains to, for whatever. I mean, all of that's infrastructure type stuff that I think we can use TIF dollars for. Or if because we've got a $1.6 million ladder truck that's super heavy, and so the entrance and exit of the fire station property needs to be dug out and rebuilt so that it could handle that weight. I mean, that's the type of infrastructure project that we could do. Whether it's just general, we can't use it to pay salaries. We can't use it to pay for new firefighters, that sort of thing.
So can you use it on helping with a payment on a truck?
Maybe I think there's some creative ways that you can get to that. But if that's something that the RDC wants to consider, I can talk with Dennis Otten and see if there may be a way to get there for that.
Yeah, I thought there was something in there about a tangible asset that benefited the TIF district. So if you can, Alex, I mean, we've got some time. We can have future discussions here in other meetings, but we're not going to solve anything tonight. But coming up with more creative ideas from the chief's perspective and other municipalities and all those, and we can try to figure it out the best way for our group to help as best we can. Is that all you needed, Ed?
Yes.
Staff comments.
Nothing for me unless you have any questions on anything.
Any questions for Adam? Board comments.
Anything, Ed?
Nope.
All right, I'll go. The council president Fitz was hoping to be here with us tonight, but couldn't make it. He has been approached about by a hotelier that's expressed interest in coming to Fortville and has asked the town of Fortville if they had a feasibility study for the South Madison area, right at the corner of 67 and Madison on the northeast side for a potential hotel location. By request, we have been asked to fund a feasibility study for a hotel to go on that corner. The requested consulting company here is called Spurrier Consulting. She's been doing it for 52 years. So again, by way of request here, we've been asked to fund a feasibility study for a potential hotel right at Broadway and
Okay.
Who request?
I'll get to you.
Are you ready for me?
Yes.
Yeah, so this touches on what I was just addressing about what TIF dollars can be used for. I think that this is outside of the scope of what the law would allow you to use TIF dollars for. for a couple of reasons. One, it's obviously not an infrastructure project or capital project. Two, I mean, as far where's the benefit to the district as a whole? This seems like this benefits a particular piece of property, and even more specifically, a particular hotelier that has requested, shown some interest in thinking about building on this lot or at that intersection. And so it seems to me like this feasibility study would serve to benefit the hotelier, this private party, and the town if the hotelier decides to build. But really, this is feasibility study may not be a bad idea to have done, but I'm not super comfortable that fits into what the TIF dollars should be used for.
One thing that I would offer is that by us purchasing the feasibility study would be that we would maintain the rights and exclusive use of it. So I wouldn't say that it specifically benefits a prospective hotelier, because it's, it is going to be something that we would maintain ownership of and could make, changes or, what have you based on the outcome of it. But it definitely isn't for the benefit of one specific party.
Parts, did they request that of you? Or are you requesting this from somebody else?
I'm the messenger.
You're the messenger.
He's a messenger because Fritz cannot be here tonight.
Correct.
And who is that?
Town council president. Fritz
Okay.
Pence.
Is the town council president speaking for the town board as a business owner, a citizen, or for the developer?
I think the purpose of attracting hotels to the areas for the benefit of the town. And I know there's a kind of a concerted effort to get more tourism to businesses on Main Street. But I would direct the intent of the town council president's intent to him.
And I can speak to it a little bit. I'm not going to speak for Fritz, but I have been a part of some discussions. Someone approached the town with an interest in building a hotel. It was a little misleading into what the whole thing was about, but the idea was that if the town wanted to draw a hotel in, not any one specific one, the fact that Hart has mentioned a specific hotel is news to me. I didn't know there was anyone that's specifically interested in coming.
In 2021, we had an analyst study for the South Madison. And then in 2020, we had a feasibility study. Wouldn't that cover that type of?
It wouldn't cover a hotel. That's a pretty specific
Okay.
request. But your question's driving towards potentially what I see as a personal interest. I don't see any of that.
Okay.
I think the direction I would lead us through, again, this is all of you, not just me, is we probably should table the idea. It needs to be brought up under new business, but let me forward the email that Alex sent to me yesterday to you guys so you can review what the TIF money can and cannot be used for, and then digest that a little bit. And we can put it on the agenda for next meeting if everyone's agreeable to that, and give us all time to digest. And I think as we've done in the past, our council is going to lead us in the right direction. But the information I'm going to pass on to you guys might give us some more ammunition, if you will, to challenge Alex's opinion. And if he just isn't swayed by our suave and debonair demeanor, then we know that we probably shouldn't do it. So there is someone, did you want to make comment about this specifically? Okay, come on up. If you would state your name and address for the town. Well, I was supposed to ask that of everybody, but we know these two.
Oh, okay,
Sorry.
that's okay.
Do you live in Fortville?
do.
Okay, just state your name.
My name's Ashley Jenkins. I was not planning to speak. And I didn't know that this was gonna be coming up. I'm here as a resident, but I am interested in this particular thing because I also serve on the library board. And this is the first time hearing about that. And I'm assuming that that's the area that he's talking about. South Madison and
It's the
67 is the
corner
Fortville
the-
Vernon Township Library.
I would again defer to the specificities of in between the library and Madison lofts, or if it is encompassing of the library area. That I think it's just about kind of that general area as a whole.
Well, again, I wasn't here because I didn't know that, wasn't here for that reason, and I didn't know this was gonna be coming up, but,
I don't think I would put a lot of worry into it.
okay.
As I mentioned, I've been a part of this discussion outside of this committee, just in general, as a town member. And a couple of things that Hart has been presented, I've never heard before, and I've been a part of these conversations. So while one particular group may find that spot attractive, that has nothing to do with the feasibility study. If they want to come, if a group wants to come to the library, try to purchase that land from the library or do whatever, that has nothing to, the only point to this feasibility study, just to put your mind at ease, is not to benefit any one entity with any one landowner in mind. It is simply, and the reason I agreed to even hear that in this committee tonight is it is something that maybe we should look at. The feasibility study of, would a hotel do well here? If this feasibility study says a hotel would do great here, everybody needs to know that. And that's something we as a town could go, look, who wants to come here?
Yeah, I think, sorry, you weren't.
But the one hotel or the one group that wants a specific location has nothing to do with this decision.
Yeah, I think it's a little concerning because of the person that you said brought it up. This person has basically since October been very public about not supporting the library staying in this town. So you all need to know that and understand that there might be other interests at play here of not supporting this
And-
residents of this town having a library.
Yeah.
If you have any further questions, our board would be happy to host you and have a discussion about that.
Yeah, I that's not the path we're wanting to head down, is a library discussion, because that's not part of what we do. But the value of the library, I may see it, she may not, she may, and I may not. But that's not the discussion. That should not have been part of this discussion at all, because we don't know where the feasibility study is going to tell somebody where in this town somebody might go to buy land. It shouldn't have nothing to do with the library. That never even should have been mentioned. But the point is, the feasibility study is the driver. I'm familiar with what you're talking about, but just don't let this blow out of proportion in your mind that
Yeah, I didn't know this was gonna be brought up, but so.
I didn't either to that degree.
To-
So just, and that's okay. You're welcome to speak anytime. That's what we're about, is the community and serving the community in the TIF district primarily. But yeah, that shouldn't worry you.
Thank you.
All right.
And if I can clear up maybe the misrepresentation, when I said the northeast side of that, I meant kind of that corridor again, not the 80 by whatever amount of feet that the library owns. I just meant on the northeast side of that, of where Madison meets 67. So again, I didn't mean any ill intent. I'm not even familiar with the comments that were made. It was just about the
They're on
feasibility.
YouTube that he made in October.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know anything about those. I echo what he says, and I apologize for making it seem like it was a specific piece of property. It's just the northeast side of the Madison.
Yeah, and
Kinda
it's probably
corridor.
because of other information that I'm able to connect the dots there. So,
And,
yeah, appreciate
but
it.
there's no dots to connect, trust me.
What?
No,
And if
not.
I can back in,
You're welcome.
on what, with, the further explanation that it's not a specific piece of property, nor is it this driven by a specific request from a specific hotelier. If it is a feasibility study to say, as this discussion has kind of evolved to, would is a hotel a viable use of an economic, piece of an economic development driver for the town? And that is just like Ed mentioned, we've done other feasibility studies on the general scope. No issue with that. So I apologize if I misunderstood. I'm thinking that we had a specific request from, I don't know, Marriott, just to throw out a name. That would be one where it makes my lawyer radar go off, that it's kind of a benefit that's tied to the person or the entity asking, rather than a benefit for the town and the district as a whole. So if it's general and just seeing, hey, is this something that could benefit the town and, of course, the TIF district, no issue with funding that if the RDC chooses to do so.
Okay. And that is how it was presented previously, as the discussion was about, if we did this study, to present that we have important information or valuable information to show the benefit for bringing a hotel here, not for anyone specific. So if you're okay with it, let's just table this till next meeting, where we can have some more discussion and make a decision as a group then.
Yeah, and if what I think I learned today is, don't ask me to present anything, because I'm gonna butcher the whole thing, which is great. But yes, to clear the record, clear my name here, Alex, that's exactly right. It was just a generic request about the potential for just multiple things, so.
All right. Any other board comments?
No.
Nope.
All right. With that, looking for a motion to adjourn at 7:24.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks, Al.